unfortunately for them, earned the position they now hold. The question is, will this last Hail Mary be enough to get them out of it? Now, Clubhouse has been played by both teams once so far this season, and Mouse were the ones to be successful against Cloud9 here, whereas Noble lost it against Rogue. So this is going to be, or actually, correction, 2 times for Noble. 2 losses as well, 1 to EG and 1 to Rogue. All said, though, this is going to be a better position overall for Mouse. Bans starting out, Lion and Maverick are gone for the attack. Maverick being a very common ban on this map in particular, as he can give you some extra sideways action. You can deny the server bandit trick, you could deny the jacuzzi bandit trick, you can push your way in through construction tunnel. You can do a lot with Maverick. Lion, of course, kind of being a understood ban from any team, and so is Echo.
Maverick gets banned a lot on Clubhouse, let's be honest. He is good pushing power through dirt tunnel. As you said, he can attack that church wall while he is vulnerable, and there is, of course, the top of the barricades that can be destroyed, and a C4 can be lobbed over from the defense when you're attacking the church wall. Well, I mean, that's definitely a way to possibly deal with him. So we'll see what comes out from Mouse here and what they're able to put together. As, like I said, this is do or die for Noble. Obey Alliance in their matchup today were not successful in getting a victory. They just got the draw, which means that they have a 1-point wiggle room over Noble.
And if Noble gets the draw, then Obey does win the tiebreak, if I'm not mistaken. So Obey will be the team to maintain that 7th spot. So forced win here, or nothing. And that's really the story for Noble right now. But they're going to be starting on defense. They will go to the basement. And I got to say, having a start on defense is exactly where you want to be, especially on a map like Clubhouse. When you're the one in a position where you need to have a good early start, you need to put yourself in a good place mentally to begin things. Clubhouse, defense, definitely as good as it can get for Noble. So while they haven't won on this map yet, and Mouse has, in the limited experience we have with these teams here in the regular season, it's still a good spot, and I think Noble can make this work.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting to see. Clubhouse tends to be more defender favored. That's the difference over what we just saw in Coastline in the Rogue SK matchup, but I mean, that didn't really matter all that much. I mean the defense actually won half of the rounds on Coastline, so I mean, it's obviously very operator ban centric, and especially with Clubhouse, we're looking at a Mira available defense here. Now, obviously Noble had a Mira in play. I think ZZ 6th picked off of it onto the Vigil, so a Mira will not be brought. And I mean, even with Mira available, there are a lot of teams that will eschew the Mira pick because you don't always practice with Mira. If you talk to a lot of teams, they usually do a lot of setups assuming that she's going to be banned.
Yeah, so many teams just don't bring Mira because the thing is, let's talk about the two of the most commonly banned operators in the game, Lion and Mira. Oh, actually, pause for a second. Acid takes down England as he attempts to rush into Blue, and he's going to be confronted by Vertical, who will take him down in response. Blue control now well in hand for Mouse. This is excellent for the attack right now, and as the defense starts laying down utility, they will be met with flashbangs. Vandal laying down his Candela as Breezy trying to hold this push, and he runs into Blue. One shot got blast, 2. He will down 1 and take another. Beastly and Vandal get kills of their own though, and it looks like Hyper's going to be recovered. But no, Crazy with the rush, and Hyper and Beastly go down. ZZ the final frag onto Vandal, and Noble take the first round.
That was a very interesting strat from Mouse.
Yep.
Every single one of them was in blue within 30 seconds. They were running a shotgun on Ying. There was Beastly on Ashe. I don't think I've ever seen Beastly on Ashe so far this season. I don't know if I've seen Vertical on Blackbeard. This, and they're going to run with the same thing this time around. So, I mean, it's very difficult to do a post round when the round barely happened.
Yeah, so here's the thing that really sets that round apart for me. Mouse just used up all of their momentum. Usually you would see a rush strategy like that reserved for the right moment. But because they used it at the beginning and it was a failure, Noble is now on their toes and aware that, hey, at any moment, rush strat maybe. So cards played now for Mouse. That's a lot of ground that they just gave up.
Yeah, that was really something by Mousesports. Typically, the team is a little bit more dedicated to droning and coordination, and I mean, it really wasn't there. Seeing Vandal running the shotgun on Ying, now he is a pretty potent force on that Ying. We are used to seeing him be able to cleave sights in half with his Candela and do great cleanup work with the LMG, but running the 612, just pushing in, they had a golden opportunity to take out the castle inside a church through the opening in blue after they double flashed him, but there was no follow-up. They just stood, sentinels watching the rotate hole. Very, very puzzling what we saw here. It's business as usual from Noble on their setup, of course, as they'll head to CCTV and Cash, but Mouz, a very interesting go at it there.
I want to touch back on the conversation I was trying to get to earlier, which was the Lion Mira thing, two of the most commonly banned operators. Just to finish this out, Lion you can adapt into your strategy easily. Doesn't take any really many changes. Timing is a little bit different, but you can fit him right in. So whenever he's available, you see him play. Mira, on the other hand, requires so much preparation and work to make fit into your team. And that's why we see teams not practicing her as often as they used to. All that said and done now, on to the next round. Sorry, I wanted to finish that. Now, Vertical going to get the first kill on Yeti. He got the first kill for his team last round, but it was also a follow-up, a refrag. This time, Mouz take the momentum. So that's a good start. And he's also managed to get control of Garage, which is even bigger. Because he has control of Garage, and he's going to take out this Valkyrie cam that is oddly placed, he will now be able to cut off a lot of rotation in the B side.
That's under where you'll see some teams put a Maestro cam if need be. Now, mind you, Maestro was banned out by Noble, so there will be no Maestro on the board. So Vertical getting very, very close to an interaction with one of the defenders, and it'll be Breezy who's going to push up and just try to bait out the Blackbeard. A great read from Breezy around the window and then through the soft destruction. ZZ will also finish up on Beastly. Crazy gets into the fray as England falls, and Breezy looking for another onto the Ying of Vandal, who, if running that 612, which indeed he is, he's going to have to get very close range. Well, he's just running right in, and of course it's an automatic shotgun, hyper down, and well, Vandal is in. He'll pull out the pistol and take out Crazy in a 1v2. It's a clutch situation, and well, he's going to miss most of his shots on acid. It will need to be a retake. Diffuser is down, and Vandal is just going to simply frag out. C4 is going to miss its mark, and Vandal holding the top of red.
Confusing plays right now from Vandal. I realize he's aware of the pressure he's feeling, but he could pick up the Diffuser, place a Claymore, and potentially go for a plant. He has the time to make this play happen. He knows two of his opponents are downstairs. That is obvious given the fact that he is not dead right now. So there's a potential for a play make, but he's a little wary of the positioning. Going for the plant, baiting it out, expecting someone to be at the top of the stairs already. Bad spot from Vandal to sit. He is so easily pre-fired, as he is very exposed as well. You practically don't even need to pre-fire him in that position. He's going to reassess. He's wasted a lot of time, and I think the reason is he's aware that there might be somebody in Garage, though that is not the case right now from Noble. They're simply deciding to double up. Definitely against a shotgun, the wrong call. But they will win the fight, as Vandal attempts to rotate through the pre-made hole. Acid will win the fight. I mean, just gets the shot on the angle. That's a good round from Noble. A curiously played one from Mouz as well. They had Garage control for so long, and they let it slip. They didn't double up on it. Usually you would see, okay, our Blackbeard has wrangled control away in Garage. Let's push into it. Let's reinforce that with another player, and let's go for the crossfire and push through construction in this case, and get the site control. But not what we saw from Mouz.
So, for the time being, Noble has been able to do everything that they needed to do. Mouz looking very disjointed on their pushes. Now, Mouz have been a very consistent team. They had a bit of a lackluster showing on the U.S. Nationals on Friday. They lost out to Vicious in the 11th hour of their third match on Border, or their third map on Border, round number 13, of course. And Mouz now have a fourth opportunity to qualify for that LAN in USN. They need to be on peak form. For whatever reason, they just cannot close it out when they're in a position like that. Now, when you try to extrapolate that to Pro League, well, it's very unlikely that there will be any carryover from that matchup. And in fact, Mouz once again running the exact same lineup. You've got England, who did a great job of fragging out, but Beastly on Ashe, intriguing. Vandal on Ying with the 612. These are just not things we're used to seeing from Mouz.
Yeah, there's some odd setups right now for Mouz.
10 seconds remaining.
And it looked like they really had that round we just saw. I'm honestly so surprised that they lost it, but Noble managing to bring it back. I'm also super surprised with some of the plays that Noble decided to put, to commit to. At the end there, especially in that last round, 2 people on cash stairs. What are you playing against right now? You are playing against a Ying with a shotgun. So, what would be to your advantage to establish crossfires, multiple angles, and longer angles? What would not be to your advantage? To double up on the same close angle. That's the top of cash stairs. But Noble decided to commit to it anyway. Now, granted, they won that, but it was still an odd choice. And if Vandal had played it differently, if he wasn't so wary of Garage, which he had right to be wary of, that is the right call for Noble to make, he might have been able to clutch the round.
So, now some drone work being done. Once again, Mouz will look to just pressure upstairs as they need to take control of the area around Jim and Master. 2 successful defenses in a row from Noble on both Church and CCTV, so they will finish off their first rotation here as first kill comes out to Yeti. He's just going to peek Hyper as he tries to push in.
That is puzzling. That is truly puzzling. Hyper was going for a Claymore placement right next to the site. Yes, sure, that's fine. But nobody was watching his server window. Usually what would happen there is someone like Vertical, the Blackbeard, would be holding that angle. Now, of course, he's got a job. Maybe anyone else, though, would be sitting on top of ventilation, on the other roof, holding the angle as Hyper plays the windows towards site, but not so in this round. The push from Mouz, they're going to try and open up the wall into bathroom. England will eat a Legion trap, but plenty of time to take that out of his foot. The prone hole is going to expose Acid, and it does work actually in Mouz's favor. Nice kill for England there, excellent play. The impact trick did take some of the X-Caros, but still.
What? Going prone and just sitting by the open hole when you know somebody's going to be on the other side of it?
He won the fight. Diffuser in hand, England attempting to play into the B bomb site. Yeti will take down Beastly. That's his 2nd kill in this round. ZZ in the anti-plant position will use his gas canister to deny the push into the B site. And he's got plenty of follow-up. Breezy also has a C4 to deny further. Vertical takes down ZZ and Yeti back onto Vandal. Breezy peeking into the hallway also takes down Vertical. So it's a back and forth, leaving just England in the 1 versus 2. 30 seconds left. He's aware of the player inside of office and thus will flashbang his way in, but loses the fight anyway. Breezy unblinded and will win it out. Noble take their 3rd in a row.
Truly interesting decision-making that we've seen from Mouz over 3 rounds so far. Very much outside of the norm. Not in keeping with Mousesports over the last 6 matchups.
Okay, so let's break that down, the confusing parts for Mouz, because we're going to dive into this really deep. First things first, Hyper playing on the windows with nobody covering a broken server window. Broken! It wasn't an intact one. There was no prompting. This window was broken. So at any point, Hyper can be peeked. Nobody's watching it. If Hyper's playing on the windows to site, somebody must watch that window or have information on it, but not so for Mouz in that round. After that happened, they attempted a push through Jacuzzi Wall with nobody playing on the site windows, which means there's no crossfire or coverage. ZZ was playing the close wall to the B bomb site in a position to deny the defuse push into B, Jim, and he did so for a solid 40 to 50 seconds. The only thing that Mouz needed to stop that was 1 player on the site windows. But that fell apart at the beginning of the round. And there was no follow-up from Mouz. Not one of the many players that they still had available decided to rotate to that window. Instead, what do? They rushed in through the main hallway and into a meat grinder, ending the round.
Into the Meat Grinder could be a great name for the story that can be written about Mousesports is 3 rounds so far.
Yeah, actually, remember the first round, it was the same thing.
This has just been 3 very reckless rounds from Mouse here. Now, I'm hopeful that they look like they're on a bit more normal composition this time. You've got Vertical off of Blackbeard. I don't think we've seen Vertical play Blackbeard so far this season. I didn't think we'd see Beastly play Ashe so far this season either. You got Vertical back on Ashe, and you got Beastly on Thatcher. Things look like they've returned to the norm here. But you give a Noble a 3-round head start off of 3 interesting new strats that get brought out by Mouse.
All right, so back to the basement. We're going full circle here. Of course, not going to the bar, which is considered by almost every team to be the worst site on this map. So
yes.
The 3 typical bomb sites have been played, and we get to go back to the first one that was attempted and was successful. Basement. Now, setup looks like Mouse is going to be attacking not in a rush strategy this round, which I definitely agree with the thought process there. They're instead going to be taking this a little bit more slowly, a little bit more calculated. Impact tricking seems to have been successful by Kitchen. So good job to, I believe, Acid, who was the one to throw that impact. You see the Thatcher grenades, EMPs are going to try and clear out any potential pulse sensor or anything inside a Kitchen to allow for the Excaros later, should that be their call. But no, Mouse is going to open up the other drops instead, just avoiding Kitchen. Yeti gets the first kill of the round, so an excellent start. That's why you leave those armory walls unreinforced, allowing for Yeti to play that angle. Curious that Mouse did not drone that out and stray away from the very same angle.
And now Beastly's going to be choked off from the gas canister, thrown all the way down towards the bottom of the main stairs. The spot that you see the Pulse of Yeti playing in is very commonly referred to as Pulse Spot. Interestingly enough, in case anybody's curious, it's aptly named because that's typically where your pulse will sit. You've got the cardiac sensor in hand of Yeti. You can do a complete sweep of the stairs all the way up to the landing above it. You can catch quite a portion of Kitchen as well on that cardiac sensor's range. ZZ lurking not too far off of Lounge by the vending machines will actually miss, and well, it's going to be a hot drop, but he's there. He knows one's on drone. ZZ could wait patiently. He'll get off drones, and ZZ picks up one, a double kill for the Valkyrie, and he'll just absolutely rip right through Vandal and Hyper. Beastly still on the stairs, will grab one. Toxic Babes once again choking off, and there you go. ZZ will pick up his 3rd, and Acid cleaning things up. Noble, 4 rounds in a row. It has been, what, 9 weeks since they got their last victory, and they are barreling towards breaking that streak.
Now, I might be mistaken, and I certainly hope I am, but I saw Hyper on drone there, and I'm hoping that his drone was downstairs, because we were looking from the top down. It was hard to tell from our perspective, but it almost looked like his drone was next to him. He saw the Valkyrie and then ran away from her. I'm guessing that's not the case. I must have been the drone was downstairs, towards blue. That's probably what happened. Either way, though, truly a mistake of epic proportions for Hyper to come off a flank hold at that moment and allowed ZZ to rotate his way up through blue stairs. And just cannot be understated how much of a mistake that was. That cost them the round. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. Yeah, anyway, a confusing match so far from Mouse.
This is not the Mouse that we've seen over the last...
Yes.
This isn't even the Mouse we saw that only got 1 win in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
This is the worst Mouse that we have seen all season long.
I will remind you guys that, and yes, of course, it's just kills, right? But Mouse currently has 2 of the top 5 fraggers on their team in all of North America. And yes, I know it doesn't mean everything, but it should get you a better result in the first half than 4-0. And it's sure it's not over yet, but it doesn't look like this is going to stop anytime soon. Noble aren't playing exceptionally well. They're playing better than they usually do, but honestly, they're also making quite a few massive mistakes that could be easily cinched down upon. Again, their denial on the gym defense for the site was ZZ, who was completely exposed for the whole round. It's just nobody peeked him. I mean, that last round, the hold was also somewhat confusing, as it was a little bit too... I mean, they had very little control. They went for a late flank, but usually that'll be locked down so easily. I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point. Yeti gets the first kill. Vandal goes down. no Candelas.
And solo entering inside a garage or even outside on drones, often putting themselves... And here's the most puzzling thing. Mouse have been in very predictable drone spots, incredibly vulnerable, as they just drone for nobody in particular, because there's been absolutely zero follow-up on most of this intel they've gotten from the drones.
I'm very confused.
I am just as confused as you are watching this matchup. I will say that much. So it's apparent that Mouse are not exactly the most in tune with each other as they have been in the past, and Noble have been able to catch them on every step of the way. So that's some praise that definitely needs to go towards Noble's side of things, especially when they are only now 2 rounds away in what could be our quickest match of the day. England will get the first kill for Mouse, one of the few kills that Mouse has actually been able to put on the board, and let eliminate ZZ with half of the round to go.
Another thing that just blew my mind, ZZ threw that C4 up 40 seconds ago, stayed underneath the drop where he couldn't do anything from there. Why are you still there? Go, reposition, assist your team. All that's done now, though. England will open up the wall, possibly what ZZ was trying to prevent from below. However, he's dead, so now he can't help that. Gas canisters now being thrown out to deny the push in through the construction wall, and they will be able to delay for quite a bit of this round. The push in through that doorway, though, will be stopped by Yeti. And Crazy also on a very tight angle by the cache stairs, also being able to assist in the hold of the door. A lot of angles established here for the defense, and it's an even exchange between Vertical and Acid. The push is in, though, and in sight is Hyper, who goes down to Yeti. Acid with a C4 onto England. The run out from Hyper's are going to get, or rather Yeti is going to likely get behind Beastly, and yes, there it is. Oh no, Noble end it on a knife kill, and the first half goes to Noble 5-0.
So they will draw even with Obey Alliance, and they just need one more round here. People expecting a tense back and forth between these two teams will be gravely disappointed. And what am I watching is a very good way of titling this. This has been extremely sloppy by Mouse. No coordination. No comprehension of what defensive strats you're seeing from Noble. Noble have been giving nothing away, and yet they've been getting everything in return.
Not only has it been extremely sloppy from Mouse, but it's also been extremely sloppy from Noble. I mean, Hyper walked into the site there. He didn't do anything with it, but there were 3 people watching for that push, and Hyper made it into cache, and then kind of sputtered, turned in circles, and died. But if he had done something with it, that could have gone a different way for Mouse. That was very confusing. They opened up the construction wall with no problems. The C4 from below from ZZ missed. ZZ lingered and then died. It looked like the push was going Mouse's way. I do not know what I am witnessing. Mouse are going to go to cache for their first defense. Not a huge surprise. This is a common bomb site as the primary. Where Noble went to the basement, that's fine too. I mean, yeah. All right, so the Mira setup, interesting. It's a little bit more to the right than you usually see, but that can also work no matter what, as long as you got one facing into server. That's your buffer should you lose control of B. Noble seem to be putting an emphasis on the garage, which makes sense considering garage is unreinforced. They reinforced the close panel instead of the far panel. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
And there's 2 bodies as well that are sitting on top of that catwalk.
What?
That are sitting there without ADSs, so very immune to projectiles. The garage is still open. One frag grenade could possibly take them out, and there you go. They're going to exothermic charge the wall, and Yeti almost dies to it. Yeti, what? How does this even happen? So there you go. Frag grenade get tossed up. Yeti looking for a kill, but it actually falls right back down. So he's going to get peeked by Vertical, and that's a very easy kill. Breezy taking some damage from the frag grenade, as there's I believe that's called martyrdom from Yeti, as he has died. And yeah, this might be the toughest round for Noble so far. Mouse will need to string 5 rounds in a row, or Noble will walk away with the victory, and because of this, that will send Obey packing. And I think that's worth noting here, is at the line is not just Noble's season, but also Obey's. But there might be some life still left in Mouz, as there's Vandal picking up the second kill for Mouz, eliminating Breezy inside of Garage, and that'll be some pressure off of the defenders as IQ is down, and her gadget is incredibly important. Oh, ZZ, a nice shot. Can't manage to snag the C4 out of the air, but he'll punish Beastly. Oh, ZZ again! Crazy with another kill for Noble, and well, it's all up to England and Vertical. Vertical eliminates Acid, and well, it's back to a 2v2. Crazy gets finished off by Vertical, and he's looking to try to hold this together. ZZ will need some heroics here. They've got 2 kills for his team, but he's going to have to face off against England and Vertical. He's still got 2 XK left. He's got a minute as well. He'll have to grab that diffuser, and all on the shoulders is ZZ, looking for a 6-0, but there will be Vertical getting the first round for Mouz, and honestly, Mouz did not necessarily earn that round at all. Too many things from Noble that just seemed extremely peculiar.
I mean, okay, let's start at the beginning. So the garage was half reinforced, but it was the wrong half. The reason you reinforce the far panel closer to the stairs is you then deny the angle, which would cut off your rotation back into sight if you don't have a rotation hole. Now, granted, the capability to make that rotation hole existed. Vertical had the impact, should he choose to rotate off of the catwalk. However, it's still confusing. You have enough reinforcements to get both garage panels, and that way you can force the thermite usage there. Now, they did use the thermite on the other panel to get full garage control, but from there, also Noble missing their nades. Yeti, really odd round, and you know, he started off with a bang, taking most of his HP in damage from his own teammates' thermite charge. Vertical is obviously the one to you know, stand out and get that round for his team. He single-handedly not only held garage, but also stopped the push over by the server wall. So if it really, if it weren't for Vertical, this would have been a different result. But overall, just a very all-over-the-place round from both teams. A bit of a mess, all centered around the garage. Another thing that confuses me is that at the end there, you touched on it, ZZ, after I think he got 3 kills in that round, he had 2 Excaros on a not bandited wall, and he could have potentially opened that wall, picked up the diffuser, made a push over by server. Now, yes, he's going to have to deal with somebody else, but challenging Vertical, even if you have the info in garage, is a fool's errand, as clearly demonstrated by the rest of his team.
There are a lot of things that have happened in this matchup where I think to myself, what are you doing? What is going on? And it's been, I don't know if it's a full moon. I'm not exactly certain, but there are just odd things. I mean, Yeti almost getting blown up by an exothermic charge on his own team.
Yeah.
Have we seen a teammate kill another teammate with their own exothermic charge in Pro League play? I want to say that we have definitely seen it, but
we have.
I mean, how long has it been? These kind of errors don't usually get committed, so I would imagine we're going to see Mousesports start to tighten things up here. They're running a much more traditional composition in stark contrast to the puzzling array of operators that they had through the first couple rounds on attack. There's tons of utility on the board for them. Nothing is really outside of the ordinary. They've got things primed up to impact trick if need be. If England is running impacts, then they've also got the Legion there. You saw there were a couple impact holes in the soft walls, so clearly somebody has used impacts at some point, and that'll obviously bode well for the defense. They've got Mira available on Clubhouse, which is obviously going to strengthen Church, as well as the wall that connects to Blue, which is where you see one of the mirrors placed, or the black mirrors placed at crouch height. So there's lots of opportunity here for Mousesports to be able to pull this round back together, but this is still match point for Noble, and I like that you called it a fool's errand, because you're now in a position here where even one fool's errand that gets committed by Mousesports, that could be the difference between Noble staying in Pro League and Noble getting eliminated.
Yeah. Vandal looking to C4 onto the Buck, who is opening up above him. Ooh, Yeti missing an opportunity there. Looked like Beastly might have just peeked right into Yeti's line of sight, but the Hollow possibly blocking that. You can see Yeti's going to open up the rotation from main hallway into Arsenal using his skeleton key, such a powerful piece of utility. And there goes the last shot. Won't open anything, but the drop in kitchen has been opened. There are 2 nades left on Yeti. This is curious that the drop was allowed to be opened. There are impacts in play, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, still maybe 1 for vertical. And yeah, he could have denied it, but he's playing by blue. So bad positioning for Mouz, or just them choosing to not take that advantage. Hyper will take out Breezy, though, so that's a very good start. Yeti's made it into Arsenal. He's going to pick up the diffuser that Breezy dropped in the main hallway and start his plant as Crazy takes down Hyper. Arsenal control fully in the way of Noble. The peek from the tunnel will not bear fruit, but it does actually belatedly. Vandal gets a C4 onto Crazy. Beastly onto Yeti. It's a cleanup for Mouz. It's all up to Acid, and he won't be able to plant the diffuser in time. Mouz take their second round, and defense seeming very favored on this map.
Once again, Noble making so many mistakes, despite the fact that we don't seem to have Mousesports at 100% right now. I mean, you've got full control of pull spot. You've got full control by the bottom of the stairs. There's only a C4 that's in the way, and you've got no coverage from above. The Hibana can't get the job done. Your planter ends up going down in a situation where you should have easily lived.
One thing that is a little confusing to me is the lack of impact tricking. First of all, I understand there is a buck above you right now. He is opening many angles. He's putting a lot of pressure onto the players in Arsenal. In fact, he forced them all away from sight into the construction tunnel to the other sites, to blue. But most teams we have seen play on the basement, despite a buck, would still opt to challenge the drop down because you can deny then the potential rotation to Arsenal. But we didn't see that from Mouz, which is a little confusing. They managed to turn it into a trap. Props to them for that. After the push came into Arsenal, they shredded Noble, absolutely tore them apart. They lost a little bit on the entry, but Noble still lost out in the end. So that's the important thing. Mouz retook it, but they didn't necessarily need to forfeit it so easily. Also, Pulse didn't do very much inside of the Arsenal. Usually you see more information, maybe a C4, not so here. A confusing round. Also, Yeti didn't use his nades at any point. There are a lot of really basic nade spots that you would usually... you know what? I can go on and on, honestly, and I'm going to stop myself.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that could have possibly happened here from both of these teams. You know, having vertical with the impact, hard holding blue, that's okay, because you'll see Smokes running impact nades, for example. But it's England who's been running a barbed wire. I didn't actually see what he was running as his secondary gadget on that particular round. As for now, they've got both Castle as well as the Alibi on Mousesports side of things that will be running impacts. We saw the impacts that were in hand for Alibi, and I mean, Castle's going to bring the impacts no matter what. You almost always need them.
Yeah, they're so important. Impacts, you know, pre-impact tricking, impacts were still very valuable. After impact tricking, they are an essential function on many sites.
Yeah, and I mean, because of the way that certain reinforcements don't go all the way to the top of the wall, well, it makes it really handy for you to have somebody. And also, it changes the way that certain operators play. Lesion, who could be used off-site, you're now going to keep him much closer to site because you need those impacts near one of the walls.
See how Blackbeard's watching that server window? It's opened up. Somebody could peek from it. That's what we needed to see from Mouz in the previous half. Now, because that's being watched, Noble can at any time start to play on the site windows. And because Noble has also managed to make their way in through Jacuzzi Wall already, they are poised to plant the diffuser with relative ease. It actually doesn't seem like Mouz has anyone in a position to stop this push right now, other than possibly the smoke from a long range, using those gas canisters.
There's 2 drones inside a gym right now, so Yeti could possibly be getting information as to where somebody is playing. There's a lot of dithering going on from Noble right now, where they could possibly get Acid in position to try and go for a plant. As I mean, the wall is obviously shot out, but it doesn't look like anybody from Mouz is holding that specific angle. It looks like we're seeing Beastly, who's prone, just looking in another direction. Oh, Breezy will behead vertical and start things off. Yeti just narrowly missing his target downstairs as Vandal, and Yeti will be on a wild goose chase, and Vandal being able to do significant damage to the buck, and we'll finish things up here. Plant goes down, and well, ZZ gets one, Breezy another, Crazy another, and it's only one. There you go. Noble will win 6-2 in one of the strangest matches that we have seen in Pro League, and a bit of a bittersweet moment, as with this match being concluded, we can say with certainty, Obey Alliance, Benji, Bosco, Skies, Adam, and Maman, their time in Pro League, for at least now, comes to an end. They will finish in that 8th and final spot in North America, and they will be auto-relegated.
Which means that Noble will have a fighting chance at maintaining their position in Pro League, as they will go to relegations as well, but not automatic. They will get to play the second-place team coming out of Challenger League from North America.
Yeah, so, I mean, Noble is still going to be in relegations. They can breathe a little easier, but there is, you know, it's not the dawn. They are still in the midst of the darkness for the time being, and there's matches left for them to play. So we'll see them in a couple weeks when we do go to relegations, and we'll see what they can come up with, as they will go up against the second-best team, as decided in North American Challenger League.
Yeah. I want to touch on something that you said earlier, the strangest match we've seen in a while, and I really do want to reinforce that fact. That match wasn't just one rife with mistakes made by both teams, because that's true. It was also just confusing. Some of the oversights from both Mouse and Noble were ones that you wouldn't expect, not made out of lack of practice or skipping a step. More looked like pure negligence, and that's really weird, because not only was that not the Mouse we're used to seeing, nor is that the Noble we're used to seeing, for that matter. It was just so far in the contrast to what we usually have. Not a worse state of Mouse, an opposite of Mouse, and that's perplexing.
It was the worst performance that I've seen out of Mouse so far this season. And the funny part is that despite that, there were a lot of different rounds where Noble didn't look that much better, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah.
So many wires that looked like they were getting crossed on Noble's side of things. It was just, it would be a set of circumstances where you'd head into doing the post-round breakdown, and you would just be kind of flabbergasted at all the different things that happened. But we can try to get some perspective from Noble here, as we have an interview ready for only the third time this season. Noble getting to the interview. Congratulations, Yeti. You avoid that 8th and final relegation spot. You still have to fight in relegations, but at least for the time being, your season doesn't come to an end. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good. It's a little bit relieving. I mean, losing for so much, tying for so long, it's hard.
Now, you won your first 2 games. For a brief period of time there, you sat atop the NA standings. Then the team kind of fell off after that. You made a roster change, it didn't work out. You made the same roster change in terms of picking up the same player, but you dropped a different player this time around. Take us through the season of Noble. What is going to be your postmortem after these 14 weeks, providing you stay in Pro League, and what are you going to prepare for in the next season, and also relegations, because you got to get through those first?
Well, relegations, taking it one step at a time, because we don't know who we're playing yet, so we don't want to go too far into it, not knowing who we're playing, and we'll prepare accordingly for whoever we decide to play, or whoever we get to play. But at the beginning of the season, we were just kind of really confident, came off of a high coming from Austin, first LAN, team was feeling good, confident about our roster move when Rampy left, and then with that whole roster move, I guess we tied with Cloud9, and that just kind of shook everybody. And we don't have a lot of experience on the roster. Me and Crazy are the only pros that have ever played in Pro League beforehand, and Breezy, kinda. So, I don't know. Experience goes a long way, and we've been trying to find the answers all season. We've been grinding really hard, day in, day out. So, but not the results we looked for this season. But we gave it our all, so I mean that's something you can look at and be proud of.
Right. Now let's look at this particular matchup that you had against Mouse here. Obviously you had some preparation, but there was a bit of shakiness. I'm assuming that some of that was probably nerves. Of course, you're playing in what is probably the most important matchup that your team has played in Pro League this entire season. Did you expect to see Mouse play this aggressive, just constantly entering, potentially solo with, shotguns on attack and playing that unbridled type of aggro play style? And if so, if you were anticipating that, how did you effectively counter it on because you went perfect on defense?
We didn't, honestly. We knew they played club just a couple days ago, and their strats really didn't change that much. A couple of the operators seemed a little bit different, but nothing too much. But how they played was really different. They seemed a lot more aggressive on attack, and I don't know. I mean, your strat's supposed to be durable enough to handle that kind of stuff and be able to adjust on the fly and just positioning. So we did that accordingly. I thought defense was really strong for us. Attack was a little shaky, but I feel like that's just that map and how difficult it can be attacking that map, it being a fairly defensive favorite-sided map. But their aggression was definitely not prepared for, really. Didn't really see that coming.
Right. And, I mean, you managed to escape that matchup. It was a 6-2. You pick up your third win and your first in 9 weeks since your second week victory. And for the time being, you're safe. So you'll wait to see what happens from North American Challenger League. Anything to say to the Noble fans? Anything to say to the viewers and everybody else as we conclude the interview?
I just want to thank everyone who supported us this long season, and us being a losing team. It's really hard to cheer for a losing team. It's hard to, keep doing this as a losing team. And I want to shout out our coach. Shout out our coach. I don't know why I'm forgetting. Unreal Ghost Diver. Thank you for everything he's done since the beginning, half the season. And then also ZZ stepping in towards the end of the season. He's helped a lot. And he's really kind of made a lot of this possible to even get a tie with Rogue, be that heavy still, but really helped us out.
Right. Well, no matter what happens in those relegation matches, we'll still also see you at USN. So enjoy that LAN event. Thank you so much for the interview, and take care. Good luck in relegations.
Later, Parker.
Thank you. I like Yeti an awful lot. He got relegated when he was playing on WBG, World Best Gaming, on the roster with Temper, with Dynasty, with Tranks, with Bobfather, with Gun Havoc. They came in, they ended up almost beating Elevate in that one matchup. If you recall, they got absolutely dismantled by Rogue, and well, that was it. Their entire season was done back when it was. It only took 2 losses for you to go to relegations, and then yeah, they ended up getting relegated. So we'll bring up the standings for you though, just so you can see. North America is done. It's in the books, and this is what it looks like. Evil Geniuses and Rogue going to Rio, SK falling just short, and well, thank you for your service, Obey Alliance. All the best moving forward.
Yeah. Noble will be in that relegation spot, but they get to fight for it. Such an odd end to North America with such a weighty result behind that end. It's just a weird day. We had some excellent matches, though. Really got to say, EGOP, that was really great to watch. Rogue versus SK as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see SSG versus Cloud9. Cloud9 taking their second forfeit in the season so far. The only team to get forfeit that I know of, and also the only team to get 2. And then Noble versus Mouz. Truly an odd one for the books. And yeah, it's super influential win.
And like we said, relegations will be coming up. So there's still going to be some matches played. Every team that finishes in 7th place will have the 2nd place team from Challenger League in each of their respective regions. They'll be broadcasted here on this channel. But before we get to relegations, we've still got the final play day for Latin America and the final play day for EU. No region has locked in, outside of APAC, no region has locked in its 2 playoff teams. And there are still 2 teams, 3 teams even, that are fighting to not be relegated in Latin America. In just a little over 24 hours, we'll have Latin America bringing the goods to you, and it'll be one hell of a show, I guarantee. On behalf of all of our production team, our set of casters, thank you so much. This has been all of North America for Season 8. We'll see you for Latin America.